Okay, well, this is the first Heartwidth standalone, a large group, everybody can come group, and the subject will always be the same subject in one way or another, is choosing to be known, because we have created a community in which we support the courage, calling in who we are with all of our complexities, letting go of what's right and what's wrong. And of course, the main tenet of the community, we not late, we not wrong, we not sorry. And to act as a conduit to stay in touch with our own hearts, our own enoughness. And if we do that, then we can be with other people, because we can't extend what we don't embrace. Anybody who's a parent knows that idea of do what I say, not what I do, doesn't ultimately work out. But I want to come in bringing in a poem that I believe invites us to be with all of who we are. It is please call me by my true names. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow, even today I'm still arising. Look deeply, every second I am arising, to be a bud on a spring branch, to be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest, to be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower, to be a jewel hiding in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am a mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river. I am a bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am a frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond. And I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl refugee on a small boat who throws herself in the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. I am also the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands. I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like the spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast that it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries and laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up and the door of my heart could be left open, the door of compassion. So here in Heartwidth, choosing as best we can to be outside of the pull of our different histories and our different pains. To pull outside of the avatars we have been given to one another that cause us not to be curious, but to be in fear or in rage. We choose in this community to be beyond that as best we can, to call each other, sometimes not hearing, sometimes perhaps a faint echo, that you belong, that we belong together forever and always. So I want to call in Dr. Martin Luther King, who said this about our goal. And the goal he speaks about is the goal of this community. Our goal is to create a beloved community, and it will require a qualitative change in our souls as well as a quantitative change in our lives. We'll spend a few minutes here talking about what that qualitative change is for our souls and what that quantitative change is in our lives and how it might look and how it particularly it might feel in our bodies. So this qualitative change for me is that invitation to be beyond the words and the construct I have been given, particularly about who I need to be connecting with and not connect. Welcome, Elizabeth. So we were just recently called in the quote from Martin Luther King Jr., and his goal of the beloved community is the goal of this community. And he said, our goal is to create a beloved community. And it will require a qualitative change in our souls and a quantitative change in our lives. And just beginning to be with how that may be, the qualitative change in our soul. And I was just sharing, it's that perhaps muted voice that's been muted on purpose about who we can be with, who we can care about, how we can care about them. Choosing to whisper, sometimes to loudly proclaim others, to call each other, to move beyond the avatars we've been given of each other. That fear, that quavering that tells us we can't. To call in the courage that we've already had. I mean, that's the conceit of this community that we're in, not the community, but this world, is that they're always telling us how we need to be by ourselves, always telling us what's wrong with us. And of course, if we're wrong, we can't be with ourselves and we can't be with anybody else. And particularly if they're of a different color or class, language, we can't, it's too hard. It's too hard. And yet the beloved community calls us to say, let me try. We choose to trust that we're going to be stumbling around, but we're not trying to hurt each other on purpose. Not on purpose, to develop that discernment in each other, the difference between harm and irritation. And in this place, knowing that no one's showing up to harm. It's not saying that there won't be harm, but let's investigate in ourselves and in this community what harm might be and what irritation is, to develop that muscle of courage that we need to have this qualitative change in our souls. I read earlier the poem, Please Call Me by My True Names. And, this harsh part of the poem, he starts out sweet, I am the bird, fluttering in this spring, enjoying the spring. And I am the mayfly, and I am the bird that eats the mayfly. No matter what our diets are, we're killing something just to survive all the time. Whether it's a vegetable or an animal, we can't have a hierarchy of preciousness. We're all the things. And we are choosing to acknowledge that in ourselves, and in that acknowledgement, seeing that in everyone else, regardless of the condition, whether we cursing or singing, allowing ourselves to be who we are in any particular moment in a community, because that's a beloved community. It's not a community of robed individuals, robed men, because that's the one that gets, they the ones that get to be monks and stuff, or even nuns. We are householders. Buddha had a teaching for monks and nuns, but he had teachings for householders. And that's 99.9999% of the people on the planet. And so we are not choosing to grasp on to enlightenment. In fact, all traditions say what Patti LaBelle sings, I've been looking around and you were here all the time. You were here all along. You don't have to go out. You don't have to pay $6,000 for a retreat, although there's nothing wrong with that. It's right here. And so that's the qualitative change, the beginning of that investigation of what that qualitative change of our souls might be. Inviting each other to be shameless. Yeah, I fucked up. I did. I'm sorry. To be with the error and taking care of that error, acknowledging that error without shame, without, that reconciliation within ourselves and each other. If we don't reconcile, what are we doing? Anybody been in a relationship? Now we can reconcile skillfully. Sometimes that reconciliation is, I'm gonna pray for you while you 50 miles, 100 miles away. But that, I think for me in my journey, what it's been is I choose not to put anyone outside of their humanity. The person that robbed me, the adult that hurt me as a child, the greatest gift of this path is I don't have to make you a monster. Because if you got to be King Kong, I got to be Fay Ray. And Fay Ray was helpless and hopeless, with the blonde hair. This is the old version, with the hair swinging, going, ah, ah, ah. And I'm trying to be free. So if you got to be King Kong, I got to be Fay Ray. That's not going to work out for me. I was in the Nation of Islam. If white people are the devil, then I got to be an angel all the time. I don't think I can do that. I don't, that's a burden I'm putting on myself. I can't be human. If I make you a demon, then I'm gonna be the opposite of that. And that's not real. The qualitative change in my soul has been the acknowledgement that I never fit nowhere. Exactly. And I've met other people, you never fit nowhere either. We can we can fit together in the fact that we don't fit. There are people who fit places, and there are lots of places where they fit, and then they can, but this qualitative change is for those of us stumbling on the road to freedom, because we didn't fit at the plantation. And that's what this is, to my mind. This world is one big plantation, and this system is a plantation. And some of us get to be in the house, and some of us get to be in the fields, but it's still a plantation, including the people that are running the plantation. They at the plantation too. That's why you have to, Frederick Douglass said, as I would not be a slave, I would not be a slave holder, because we got to be together in this delusion of our lack of humanity in even order to be on top. So what I believe we've been doing and calling in different ways and in different offerings to connect to this place where we are free to love, beginning with ourselves. The beloved community starts inside. We curating that for ourselves. And having begun that practice, can offer it to each other, can see each other as both the mayfly and the bird, the little girl that was raped by the pirate and the pirate that raped her. This is not bypass. This is not, and we're all one. We're all one. And ultimately, it's all going to be all right. Well, yeah, ultimately, yeah. But there is the practice of that is to acknowledge where we at. Where we at. It is not grabbing out. And so that's what I think we've been doing. And that's what going forward we will be doing more and more. It's present in Adrian's practice, art practice for the global majority, in which we didn't know that we could cover the whole page. And then we can explore who told us we couldn't cover the whole page. It's there in what Laura's guiding the practice and bringing in Key and Kim, and that she's been racialized. She's not fooled. I'm white because you made me white. This system made me white. This history made me white. And yeah, I can get a cab before Aisha gets a cab. but I know I'm getting the cab. It's not an invitation, you know. So much of many of these spaces, in my experience, invite us not to be with what is. Don't bring in politics. You know, I've been in spaces where Trump got elected, and this big old tall white man living in a part of town that white black people used to live, but we don't live no more, said, I can't take it. Please, because people were bringing up their anxiety. And I'm looking at him because I have never felt safe in my whole last life. In my whole life. So we ain't doing safety here, because that would be an insult to my ancestors. We not here, we're not doing safety. We're doing awareness. We're doing courage, but we're not doing safety, because that's delusional. And even the word safe and unsafe. I got everything materially, pretty much, and unsafe has found my baby. Yeah. Unsafe has found me. So if people safe and you feeling unsafe and your child don't feel well and people looking at you like, well, what's wrong? You seem to be stressed. What? Because we all right over here. So what's wrong with your situation? I believe that's what this quote and this path that we're on is. You got a good job. Why you quit your job? Are you crazy? We could go to Jamaica once a year and maybe cheat on our spouses and do some shit to feel free. I believe spirit is calling in us to be in a world with that little boy that looked at the emperor, and everybody, it was a big parade. It was fabulous. You know, in my experience, the fake stuff is the most fabulous. It's the most fabulous. And he's got courtiers and the people are around him and waving, and they're going, oh, he looks so good. And there's one little boy going, you know, but he don't got no clothes on. Look at that outfit. Oh, can you see the drape of of his garment? And did you notice the colors? There's a kaleidoscope. And the little boy is going, but he don't have no clothes though. And you know, some of some of those little children, some of us got punished in many ways for saying, but it don't have no clothes. This is not love. This isn't right. So to my mind, this is the community of the, but he naked. I don't, why are we having conversations about the beautiful garment the king is wearing when he naked? I believe spirit, the powerful spirits have brought us to this moment. I want us all in this community, we're going to rest in the deep wisdom of my lineage, because we've been watching naked since 1619 on this continent. And it's interesting because, again, that particularly Black women, we're going to put you on a pedestal. So we're going to raise you outside of your humanity. And at the same time, we don't acknowledge the wisdom of what you got. I mean, we'll codify it and, but, or we admire it so much, we'll take it and then change it into something else. But we're not doing this because what I'm calling it explicitly is the spiritual majesty of the mammy who is holding this white baby, who's going to grow up to rape her daughter, kill and sell her family, and chooses not to cut his throat. It is not lack of choice. It is a spiritual awareness. And I'm calling that in, along with all the other wisdom traditions. And please call your in. But I'm explicitly calling that in. Because so often, my lineage, and the question of our humanity has still not been settled. It still hasn't been settled. Unfortunately, that means that the question of everybody else's humanity has not been settled. As I would not be a slave, I would not be a slave holder. This is not an invitation to guilt. This is not an invitation to shame. It is an invitation to be aware. We're not doing fear up in here. We're doing awareness. I know my experience with fear is a contraction. Don't hurt me. Now that may be important in the body. I mean, you don't want anybody hitting you. But in terms of the soul, I'm talking about now, it's like developing that capacity to say, I am afraid of you and I've been broke. I'm gonna die. And to cultivate that space that Frankl talks about between the action and the reaction is the space. That cultivation is what we've been doing here. To be with the fact, I didn't know I couldn't color. I could only be inside the page. A certain level. That's an expression of what I've been taught. And I can look at that without shame and go, oh, now I know. I can go buck wild, and get supported by the offering of Adrian. I can be, yeah. The shame is as much of a hindrance as closing your eyes. I opened my eyes. Now I'm ashamed that I didn't have my eyes open. It's a trap. It's a trap. So what we've been doing and talking about for quite some time is creating a bold ass space where we can support each other with grits and groceries and nobody at least know whose lights are going out. To stay in memory. I'm not going to mispronounce the word amnesis or something like that, but it says to lose forgetfulness. When we come together, particularly those of us that don't fit nowhere, that people have been looking at us going, why, oh, why, And that's even after we straighten our hair or color, even after we try to I know I'll speak for myself, amputate what I had to, will you accept me now? Will you accept me now? Yeah, for 15 minutes, I'll accept you. And then you seem to have another arm. I'd like that too. Okay, all right. That Monty Python has the thing, this knife is cutting, uh, okay, I don't have no arms. And he says, you know, I still have legs. And, he gets that right leg and that left leg, and I will offer the wisdom of Bertha Lovett Evans. You'll hear a lot about her, and bring your people in too. You can't make a deal with the devil because he never keeps his word. You know, we don't take away the archetype of the horned one, but that invitation to, if you do this, you'll get these results, and you'll get those results for 15 minutes. And if you do this, you'll get this results, and you will get the results. I mean, I've got results. My mother was so happy her lesbian daughter had a child for 15 minutes. And I'm going, for real? For girl, I'm not, what? I'm not perfect. I have done this thing that you have wanted. And don't get me, I'm glad my son is here and grown and not nowhere near me. But I'm just telling you, you know, if you do this, 15 minutes, you know. So what I'm thinking is that we have a community that is explicitly supporting us to call each other. We grown, do what you want. Everybody here is grown, but that invitation to shame, to blame, to somebody we be King Kong and somebody else be Fay Ray, or they King Kong and we Fay Ray, and inviting us to, come out of that trance, because he naked. He naked though. Now, that don't mean that we can't be skillful about our money. I'm just saying life is real, okay? And, we got to navigate these systems, but he's still naked. So we just playing along skillfully. That's skillful to play along, because, we have to manage people that's into teaching that don't love children, and doctors that are mechanics and not healers, and a system that is promulgated on the fact that we widgets. But as Thich Nhat Hanh said, you know, when we come together, when this beloved community come together, we can do great things. Now, it won't look great. It won't be fabulous, in the sense that, the king and the people and the flags are waving. Our shit can't look like their shit. Okay? Because either there are people that know he naked, but they waving the flag and screaming the loudest for him because they believe that what they will receive from that is great. And it will be. I mean, it may be. I mean, gold faucets and toilets, all kinds of things. But here, we can continue to work on that, to be messy together, to be wrong together, and not even be different together. The multiplicity of one, calling in non-conformity. That when we leave each other, we can go into the world and know that we're connected, that we're not some kind of bizarre outliers. So that's what I wanted to share in um, today. I'll probably write some of this up and put it in about what this community is about, you know, and we'll fuck up a pronoun. But here's the thing that I have discovered. When we connected, we don't roll in pronouns. Language is not safety. If it's not from the heart, it's just another way to fuck over people. And as a misfit, that's been very easy to do because I'm always questioning myself. I was always questioning myself, right? And that opening, a lot of people that didn't mean me any good entered because I'm always questioning myself. What did I do wrong? So I'm inviting us to close that what I did wrong and develop some curiosity and discernment. First about and rest in our enoughness. That's the main thing. Not saying I don't mess up, but I'm not wrong. I'm not tainted. I mean, that's where my hole came from. That tar baby that was harmed and that icky, sticky, nasty. And then she went out into the world going, can I be right now? Can I, what can I do? Work 16 hours? Be in abusive situations? And be all right? Because if I accept enough, then will I be okay? So that's what I'm encouraging us to do. And I'm not looking forward to my death, but my thing is at the funeral, I want people to be saying out some outrageous shit. She was where and with who? Didn't she know what age she was? Rather than those very sad funerals, like she loved us. She didn't care about herself. She put everyone else first. We loved her. Oh, there's no one like her. Oh, I have stopped going to the funerals of older Black women before that. She loved us to her death. So anyway, that's what I got. Do we want to take a break or maybe just have maybe a 2-minute sit together before y'all share what's up and let me